How can you come to a wet fit and don't expect for you to get wet? You don't know it's blows you go get. You watching SAT TV.
Bring out the reading, SAT Telecoms.
Welcome to SAT TV News. I'm Alicia George, your presenter. In our top stories, a National Youth Council hosts Kalinago Week. U.S. Embassy warns Americans against traveling on Caribbean airlines. UK floods. Thames reaches record water levels. And in sports, Jays Limited Young Gunners are the new Petro-Caribe Point Michelle Knockout Champions for 2014. Details of these will follow.
Nobody can love it the way I do. I'm with you, my yori yori. With you, everything is welly welly. Your love, they make my heart to do yori yori. Nobody can love it the way I do. I'm with you, my yori. What's up? My name is Vas.
And this is Mesh.
And we are Brackets.
And you're watching SAT TV. Don't miss it, because if you miss it,
You will lose it.
Brackets say so.
One love, everybody.
How can you come to a wet fit and don't expect for you to get wet? You don't know it's blows you go get. You watching SAT TV.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Health, in its efforts to ensure the continued provision of high standards of healthcare delivery at the Princess Margaret Hospital, has obtained equipment and supplies totaling $2,675,757 from government funding. The equipment includes a gastroscopy, coloscopy system, a digital mammogram, a CT scanner, and orthopedic supplies. The general public should note that the services provided at the outpatient department began on Tuesday, 4th February, and every Tuesdays, clinical consultations will be undertaken. Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, procedures will be undertaken in accordance with individual appointment dates and times. The services of the digital mammogram will commence on Tuesday, 11th February, on the ground floor of the refurbished former acute psychiatric unit building. Persons holding request cards for mammogram examinations are kindly advised that scheduling of appointments commenced on Monday, 10 February in the Department of Radiology at the Princess Margaret Hospital. The ministry urges the public to keep their appointments and take ownership of their health to continue living a healthy and productive quality of life. In more news, His Excellency Jose Antonio Meade Curribrenner, Mexico's foreign minister, on Friday, February 7, 2014, headed a delegation to Dominica where they held high-level discussions with Prime Minister and Minister for Foreign Affairs Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit and other government officials. The visit by the Mexican Foreign Minister comes on the heels of a meeting recently held in Cuba between Prime Minister Skerrit and His Excellency Enrique Pena Nieto, President of Mexico. This visit further strengthens relations between Dominica and Mexico. The government has pursued a foreign policy based on the principles that Dominica is now an active member of the regional and international communities, and that our foreign policy must support our national interest.
We have spent a considerable period of time, a considerable amount of time, cultivating relationships out of Dominica. People who can, when something happened to Dominica, can reach out to Dominica and say, because we are friends, I am giving you this. We have the minister the foreign minister of Mexico, who is coming into Dominica to meet with us, sent by his president to visit Dominica because of the extraordinary relationship which exists between Dominica and Mexico. And I met the president of Mexico in Cuba last week.
Members of the Dominican delegation included Honorable Dr. Colin McIntyre, Minister for Employment, Trade, Industry and Diaspora Affairs, Honorable Alvin Bernard, Minister for State in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Steve Farrell, and Secretary to the Cabinet, Ms. Karen Privot. Others included Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Lucien Blackmore, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Public Works, Energy and Ports, and Mr. Don Corriette, Acting Disaster Preparedness Coordinator. In other stories, 2 weeks after students began falling ill from schools located in the Bath Estate area, namely the Roseau and Newton Primary School and the Orion Academy, the schools reopened on Monday, February 10, 2014. On Tuesday, January 28th, many students fell ill following the demolition of an old building on the GIS compound on Thursday, January 23rd, which was said to have contained asbestos panels. An investigation was later launched, which revealed that it was not asbestos but mold, primarily in the Roseau Primary School, causing the students to fall ill.
The Ministry of Education, with support from the Forestry Division, Ministry of Health, and the Ministry of National Security, we have gone ahead and we have treated the mold. We have had the Forestry Division cut the trees that were overhanging on the buildings and preventing the sunlight from coming in. We have also taken care of the debris and cleaned and sanitized inside and outside of the classrooms.
She said they did all what was necessary to ensure the school environment was ready for students, and the principal and teachers of the schools have reorganized the furniture for lessons to commence.
We want to thank the parents for your patience. Your students have been out of school for almost 2 weeks, and we will ensure that they make up for the hours that they have missed. And so once again, we give you the assurance that we will do everything in our power to keep your students safe, healthy, and secure, and to ensure that they are successful at what they do.
While parents have openly criticized the Ministry of Education for their delayed action in dealing with the problem, Principal of the Orion Academy, Ms. Quinn Thomas, compliments the Ministry of Education and other responsible bodies who address the situation.
We would like to thank the officials from the Ministry of Education, including the Minister of Education, the Chief of Education, Mrs. Fontaine, and Senior Planning Officer, Mrs. Constance, and her staff, and other senior education officers, including, of course, the principal of the Roseau Primary and the Newton Primary, for their collaborative efforts in bringing results to the issue.
She added, given the seriousness of the situation, she was thankful for the generosity of the General Secretary of Dominica Public Service Union, Mr. Thomas Leta, and his staff for making their building available to host classes while their school was closed. Ms. Thomas is hoping that the situation will not revisit the schools. In more news, the National Youth Council of Dominica, NYCD, in partnership with the Ministry of Carib Affairs and the Cultural Division, will introduce Kalinago History Week from February 10th as a signature event forming part of Black History Month here in Dominica. One of the core activities forming part of the NYCD's 2013-2015 work plan is the facilitation of a program of activities in observance of Black History Month in remembrance of important milestones, persons, and events in the history of the African diaspora. Kalinago Chief Mr. Garnett Joseph says he hopes that this initiative will form part of the annual calendar of activities.
I would like to thank the National Youth Council for initiating and spearheading the activities which we are hoping will become an annual activity and part of the calendar of activities each year. The activities will help us focus attention on the struggles of the Kalinago people, the contribution to national development, and help create a better understanding and appreciation of the Kalinago people and culture.
The collaborating partners plan to observe Kalinago History Week from February 10th through the 14th through advocacy and educational activities, field trips, and civil society dialogue. Mr. Joseph says efforts are being made to ensure that Kalinago history is included in the national curriculum in every school across Dominica.
Our efforts now are to ensure that Kalinago history is taught in all schools in this country, as it will be part of the national curriculum. As we advance as a people in the 21st century, we need to be proud of our history, never lose our identity, and celebrate our survival.
This year's activities will be administered under the theme Youth Empowerment for Sustainable Development. The chief noted that approximately 65% of the Kalinago population is below 40 years old. According to him, members of the Kalinago society are making major strides in education, with the highest number of young people with tertiary education, while the university graduates are beginning to make their presence felt as they undertake activities to develop the territory.
We have the opportunity to look within the Kalinago culture and create unique products and services to offer the country and the world. As we forge ahead with our development, we have to be continuously aware of the challenges and pitfalls that confront us.
In related news, Kalinago Chief Mr. Garnett Joseph has warned against contracting HIV and AIDS and other sexually transmitted diseases. According to Mr. Joseph, we must safeguard ourselves from lifestyles that can be disastrous to our health.
We have to be continuously aware of the challenges and pitfalls that confront us. We have to be mindful of lifestyle that can be disastrous to our health in the form of chronic, non-communicable diseases, HIV and AIDS, and other sexually transmitted diseases, abuse of alcohol and drugs.
He says we must consider ways to lessen our contribution to the destruction of our natural environment and global warming.
HIV and AIDS can be a major threat to our small population. What Columbus could not have done in 500 years, I'm of the firm opinion that HIV and AIDS can do it in 10 years.
He noted also that the Kalinago people contributed significantly to the environment by holding back colonization of Dominica for over 200 years after every other island in the region had been colonized.
We should lay a foundation that the next generation should build on, not having first to repair this foundation, but making it much easier for them to forge ahead for the other generation that will follow after them. Because this is how and the only way that the Kalinago people can survive, ensuring that their culture and their race remains intact. The future of the Kalinago territory and the country can be determined by how we conduct our lives today. We should seek to empower ourselves to ensure that we are prepared to take up the challenges in nation building up the Kalinago territory and the nation of Dominica. Thank you.
In other news, on Saturday, February 8th, the opening day parade for Carnival 2014 kicked off with a tremendous show of support by spectators and a procession of colors and traditional costumes. The event began at the Pottersville Savannah and concluded at the Demi Junior Charles Boulevard on the Bayfront. The reigning Carnival King and Queen led the parade, followed by this year's contenders of various pageants. The traditional masquerade groups like the Senses, flag wavers, wabwas, and hi-fi bands set a high standard for the upcoming carnival activities. After the parade, onlookers gathered at the Bayfront to hear the official speeches and enjoy displays by the various groups. It was evident that a lot of work and thought had been put into the preparation and execution of this memorable event. Dominicans and visitors alike now look forward to the rest of the carnival activities. In more news, the National Youth Council of Dominica, NYCD, in its continuous efforts to intensify positive youth development in Dominica, has awarded 2 students of the Dominica State College following separate raffles conducted by the council. Gary August from the village of Concord was a proud winner of a brand new Alcatel T-Pop One Touch phone, compliments Lime and the National Youth Council of Dominica. Mr. Auguste won the phone as part of a raffle conducted by the NYCD at the General Assembly in July 2013. Proceeds from the raffle will be used towards facilitating activities forming part of the NYCD 2013-2015 work plan. Ms. Josephine Austri, who lives in the community of Savanpai, was the winner of a monthly raffle conducted by the NYCD targeting primary, secondary, and tertiary learning institutions on the island. She won a beautifully designed and decorated triple layer cake. A total of 26 schools participated in the raffle, which raised a total of $570. All the profits collected from the monthly raffles will be used for youth empowerment activities developed by school-based clubs, youth organizations, and district youth councils in partnership with the NYCD. These activities will be geared at educating youth on the concept of sustainable development and building their capacity to contribute to the national development process. The NYCD monthly raffle will continue in February and will be opened to all schools on island. The grand prize for the month of February is one digital camera. Both raffles took place on Monday, February 3rd, 2014. In other stories, Calypso lovers and fans of Calypsonians performing in the Showdown Mass Camp Calypso tent flocked to the Harlem Plaza on Friday, February 7th to hear the renditions of their favorite Calypsonians. Lady B came on with her song titled Pray for Them, Take Them Back, where she is appealing for the elders to pray for the young people who have gone astray and to work with the youth so they can remain on the right path. Picklock came on strong as he promised for the 2014 Calypso season when he performed his song titled We Want More Money. Daddy Miller had to work twice as hard to get the crowd moving to his song when he performed his new Calypso for 2014 titled President House. But once they got into the groove, they danced non-stop to the controversial but entertaining song.
So now it's the guitar, should ever hold that position, even if it's finger. Yeah, it's on the trigger of the gun. Tell them that everybody wants to be the president. Big mansion, big salary, no tax, and no rent. But an instigator, he could never be the president. No, other people who he wants unemployment. And Prisima, now the people are afraid because their leaders are democrats and Dominica don't want no instigator in the president's house.
Newcomer Trinity certainly was a crowd pleaser with his popular song titled A Job, A Job, A Job.
I go pay the custom. I just feel I don't rob. Where I get the money from, I cannot get a job. I cannot get a job. A job, a job, a job, a job, a job, a job.
Veteran Calypsonian Du Bob performed like a true veteran for his song titled Original Dominican Calypsonians, a song advocating for the support of local artists.
In this land that we once held there is slipping away somewhere. It's like we're selling out Dominica. We in a stage of no honor and pride anymore. Clothes and farmers, vegetables imported here by containers. Every project in this hard country, Chinese laborers. festivals, and foreign lions get preference over all local boys. And instead of checking the message and protecting Dominica, they choose to proceed by the messenger. Yes, so they don't like my style. They want me from home, like a Trinidad. Jump on way, jump on way. And their obsession with things that come from other lands. They don't understand how much I'm proud of my land of Kalinago and Africa. Listen now, yes. I am not David Rudder. I am not Sammy Davis Jr. I am who I am, the original Dominican Kaisoya. Take me or leave me, you hear?
King Dice pleased his fans once again when he performed his new song titled Time for Change in front of a very appreciative crowd who simply could not get enough from the king.
If not, people will change. Stop following you. There's always another, a fiery leader waiting to take over. And sooner or later, as you change, coming for sure. With government in the starter, that's the only way your people from the corner. With government to the productive of what their citizens are trying to achieve. When one sit down on the rising, and the others just are scraping up and leaving. Oh, it's nothing strange. This does not change.
Other performers included Sai, Young Bull, Leona, The Mask, Vigilante, and Soundproof. This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.